Oh, right. So this is the fifth day of the $1 million experiment. And we had a trade today that I'm going to show you because it was worthy of note, even though it didn't result in any kind of profit or loss. It was a goose egg kind of a trade. But I'm going to home in on the 15 minute here on the ES. And let's look at this because this ended up being the trade that we took, or the signal that prompted us to get in. So let's have a look at this. We've got about 7 minutes remaining in this bar, but it'll close in a minute. Well, it'll close in 7 minutes, and we'll put that trade on. Now, meanwhile, let's look over here on the 5 minute. You can see what's been happening. It's unclear. Like it's not been a very obvious trend. This isn't great. It's been down. We had a little bit of recovery, but then we had a continued sell-off and a sharp one. If you look at the 15 minutes, quite a sharp sell-off. But we're looking for that first green bounce. So again, we're looking over here, trying to figure out where's this green bar going to come from, and we're going to see it shortly. So bear with me a moment as this comes about. Now this ends up being the last red bar before the first green 15 minute. So let's let this unfold a bit. And we'll have a look over at the 5 minute. We can see the 5 minute bar is starting to form. Now I didn't really want to jump on the 5 minute right away. And you can see up here, there was a 5 minute. It would have taken us up and then taken us out. So that would have been a net loss. And it's really unclear here whether we're really done selling. It seems like there's more because it wasn't a slam dunk at this point to say, yeah, here's the all clear, we're ready to go up. So it's a little bit, the jury's out on this one. So let's go back over here to the 15. We'll look at this a little bit more because it closes now in 5.5 minutes. This is where we're going to get our first signal. Looking at the 5 minute again, we've got one green bar. We could theoretically put in a buy order above this. And in fact, when we do put it in above the 15 over here, when we do put it in, it's going to end up being in roughly that position on the 5. But okay, hold on, let me pause this. So now that 15-minute bar is closed. What we're going to do here is we'll put in the buy order right at 66, what was it, 66.02 was the right level. All right, let's let this go. And you can see by looking at the 5 minute, you can see it ended up being in that same spot anyway. But let's come back over to the 15 and we'll watch
Order
this.
found.
All right, and look at the 15 handle stop, puts us in really roughly the right spot. So it's all looking good. Now, this played out for a while. It was heading in a good direction for a bit. But as you'll see, this ended up going really nowhere fast. And it looked quite promising for a while. But then it came back. Now, one of the things I could have done here after it moved 8 points in the right direction is I could have moved this stop to break even. But I don't like doing that because all too often it'll just stop me out and then it'll continue and I'll be out of it because I put the stop too tight. So I don't like to do that. I like to leave the stop in the appropriate spot. If this is a reversal and it's coming down, well then this spot ought to be a good one for the stop. So I've left it there. But meanwhile, if you look up here at the NQ, it's going through, not surprisingly, a similar kind of thing. Looking over at the NQ on the 5 minute, it can't really make up its mind either. And so you end up in this situation where, all of the, well, both indexes are just kind of waffling in this area. And I'll go and zoom in on the 5 minute here because it often makes sense to manage it with the 5 minute. But in this general space, it's pretty unclear whether it has any real intention of going up. And so I'm leaving it here for the moment. But and we've got a little bit more We've got a couple more little attempts to get above this line, but at some point fairly soon here, it just drops down into this general area and stays there and just camps out there. And that makes me think, well, as soon as it starts to look like a bear flag, meaning here's your pole. Actually, it's better to look at it here for this. Here's your pole, and then this becomes the flag formation, and it just hangs out there. Now I'm going to pause this for a second. Look at this. Look how close this comes to stopping us out. It comes within 1 point, 65.88. 1 point away from stopping us out. And this just does not look like it wants to go up. And so right around this point, I'm saying, all right, I don't think this is happening. So what I ended up doing is I brought this down to break even, and I said, you know what? If it happens to come up here and test break even again, I'm getting out and sort of lucky to be broken even at that point, because it just doesn't
Target filled.
like it wants to do that. So it took me out even, and I'll let this play a little bit longer because it ended up dropping rather substantially after this. And so it was a good thing to get out of it. But it's pretty clear that this was not in any condition to be going up longer term. It did not, it flirted around with break even a couple of times. It might have even been this next time that I actually got out of it. I can't quite remember which time I got out, but it was around one of those times, and it was after this almost stop out, where I basically said, all right, look, this looks like a bear flag. It's not doing what I expect it to do. What I need it to do when I put in a buy order above a green 15-minute is I need it to press higher. And it just simply wasn't doing that. So it made me think, yeah, if it does want to go higher, this is too soon. It probably has another leg down before it's ready to turn around and go back. So better to get out and live to fight another day. So so this ended up being a zero, but it actually was a good. I think it was a good exit, and I wanted to capture this because it goes to show what I don't want this to look like once I'm in. If it's just going to camp in this area where it spends most of its time at a loss, this is not helpful. This is not what I want to see. So I ended up getting out of it. And it might have even been right there where I got out of it. So it spent a fair bit of time in this area just not doing anything useful. So anyway, I can let this run for a few minutes more, and we can kind of see where it started to drop down. Matter of fact, maybe I'll just fast forward it rather than sit through it. So let me fast forward it by, say, an hour-ish. And let's bear in mind where it is relative to 65.88. 65. No, it's still in this area. An hour later, let's go even further. Let's go another hour after that, 10 o'clock, and see relative to 65.88. Are we serious? We're still in this? Or has it actually painted that correctly? It's seriously not going anywhere. Okay, let's advance it another hour to 11 a.m. Pacific. And let's see what it looks like. It's funny, once I got out of the trade, I didn't want to look at it anymore, so I just shut it down. All right, well, in any case, you get the idea. So it was previously at a low of 65.88. My stop was down around 65. I can't remember what it was. But in any event, this is below the stop. So I'm just as glad that I got out, because this would have taken me out anyway. And it wasn't done selling off. I think it ended up going a little further down, I think, if I remember correctly. So this was not a good day, but it was good. So here we are. It was good to get out even, because okay, here we are. It's dropping rather significantly. So just to recap, I got in above this 15-minute. It looked like it wanted to do something, but then it just completely failed. It obviously wasn't ready to go up yet. This looked like a bear flag, and then just rolled over and collapsed. So rather than take a full loss, we got out of it even. I call that a win for the day, considering it was kind of a crappy day. So there we are.